When you hear the word blockchain, you probably think of Bitcoin, right? Digital money, complex code, financial markets. But what if I told you the real origin of that idea is, well, it's way older? Today, we're diving into a completely different kind of blockchain, one that's not built on code, but on ancient community wisdom. Okay, let's just jump right in. This slide really lays it all out, the two different worlds. On one hand, you've got modern blockchain, where everything is about the individual's assets, right? Your Bitcoin, your digital wallet. But the traditional model just flips that completely on its head. The value isn't what you own, it's the trust your community has in you, that community coin. It's really just a way to measure and exchange that trust. It's a huge shift from thinking about individual wealth to focusing on collective well-being. And look, this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. As we're about to see, the source material lays this out as a real, tangible proposal. It's designed to be a tool that can tackle actual, real-world problems through microfinance and social solutions, especially for smaller communities. So here it is, the official definition. A traditional blockchain is all about a system of trust and shared stuff within a group. Now, the key thing to get here is that the block isn't a block of data on a computer. The block is the community, the people themselves. And that community coin is just the currency for their own internal economy. It's meant to make their bonds stronger, not just process transactions. Now, this is where it gets really relevant to right now. This whole concept is being put forward as an answer to our modern problems. The source actually calls it a solution for the feared lost decade, which is a term for this period of economic and social shakiness that we're supposed to be in. The whole idea is to build up strength from the bottom up, right from within the communities. And what's really cool is how practical this can get. Check out this budding gem banking idea. It's a way to teach kids about money right from the start. You've got a fixed deposit for the long haul that teaches the philosophy, the why of saving. Then you have a variable one for pocket money. That's the science, the how-to of earning and spending. And learning to balance them, well, that's the self-study. It's the art and the wisdom of it all. So where on earth do these ideas come from? Well, they're not new, not at all. They have these incredibly deep roots in history, drawing from the wisdom of ancient artisan communities who were living by these rules for centuries. These are some of the groups that are credited with really developing this system. Now, what's so important to understand is that communities like the Baba Vishwakarma and Ramgarhia, they were organized without all the rigid class structures that came later. Their whole social and economic world was built around the idea of the group, not some top-down pyramid. And that foundation, right there, is the secret to why it all worked. So the whole thing, it really boils down to this one crucial guiding principle. For these communities, money was a tool. That's it, a tool created to serve people and make the community stronger. It's a total reversal of the modern world, where so often it feels like we're the ones serving the money, you know? Okay, so how did they organize their world? According to the source, their wisdom wasn't just about finance. It was based on this deeper underlying logic. They saw this recurring pattern in absolutely everything, a kind of rule of three that brought balance to not just their money, but to nature and knowledge itself. So for example, let's take calendars. The source points to three big systems, Shaka, Bakrami, and Gregorian. The argument isn't that one is right and the others are wrong. It's that they represent three essential ways of seeing time, based on the moon, the sun, or a mix of both. It's this idea of three different but complementary parts that make up a whole, and we're going to see this pattern again and again. And boom, we see the exact same pattern in banking. You have the classical bank for big business, the householder bank for family and home finances, and the farmer bank, which is tied to the seasons and agriculture. Again, it's not about which one is better. They're three vital pillars that you need to hold up the entire economy. This whole framework even stretches to something as basic as language. The source identifies three layers of sound. You have akshara, the written symbol, then akara, the core sound it stands for, and finally, ashara, all the little subtle ways we pronounce it. You can think of it like the letter, the sound, and the accent. The point is to show that even speech is built on this rule of three. Okay, so what connects banking, calendars, and language? What's the unifying force behind this rule of three that keeps popping up? The source material proposes this single, massive idea that pulls it all together. It's called philosophology, and it's basically the cosmic engine that makes this whole system run. And that engine is a force called cymatics. Now, you might have heard of cymatics as the study of how sound creates patterns in matter, but here it's something way more fundamental. It's described as the harmonizing force that balances those three streams we've been talking about. It's the active ingredient that takes an abstract idea, like the philosophy of banking, and turns it into a real, practical thing through energy and vibration. And there's this really beautiful metaphor in the source to explain how it works. Cymatics is like a mythical swan that can magically separate pure milk from water when they're mixed together. In this story, the milk is the pure idea, or light. The water is the medium it travels through, or sound. Cymatics is the force that can tell the two apart, creating perfect harmony out of a jumbled mix. And this is where it all finally clicks together in this grand theory of philselfology. If you just break down the word, the whole system becomes crystal clear. You start with phil for philosophy, that's the big idea, the ideal. You end with ology for science, that's the practical, hands-on application. And the bridge that connects the two, that's self, the harmonizing force of cymatics. It's a complete roadmap for turning big ideas into reality. So, what's the ultimate point of all this? Well, philsophology is all about resolving conflict between opposites. It takes forces that seem totally opposed, like creation and destruction, represented here by Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva, and it finds the common ground between them. It's a framework for synthesis, for finding a single harmonious path forward instead of getting stuck in conflict. And that leaves us with one heck of a final question, doesn't it? We started with a new take on blockchain and ended up with a cosmic theory of harmony. But even if you set the more abstract stuff aside, you have to wonder, could that core principle, a system built on deep community trust instead of just individual assets, could that actually be a blueprint for building a better, more human digital future? It's definitely something to think about.